The Chicago Bears will have to go the rest of the way without running back Tarik Cohen. What an emotional roller coaster of a season so far. The Chicago Bears have given their fans just about every feeling in the book through just 3 weeks of the season, and this past Sunday was arguably the most emotional game yet. The game against the Falcons had everything. Starting quarterback Mitchell Trubisky made some nice throws and one heck of a long run at one point, but after a costly interception, Nagy decided to opt for Nick Foles instead. The Bears were down multiple scores in the second half when Foles came into the game, and all he proceeded to do was throw for 188 yards and 3 touchdowns to lead the Bears to another miraculous victory. Lost in the victory may have been the season for running back Tarik Cohen, though. On a punt return in which he signaled for a fair catch, Cohen was run into and his leg was folded up. The team's worst fears look to be exactly what has happened, after all. Cohen's season could be done with what looked to be either a broken ankle or torn ACL. At first glance, it looked as though his ankle was broken. But, upon rewatching the play, it was pretty clear he grabbed his knee afterwards and the injury was likely to be an ACL. With the Bears' starting punt returner and gadget back out, they will have to fill the void somehow. They could decide to bring up Artavis Pierce from the practice squad and also use Cordarrelle Patterson in some creative ways, but Cohen's loss still remains a tough one to bear. With Cohen out, Chicago could look at options outside their own organizations. These 3 guys make a lot of sense. 1. Kerrith Whyte, Detroit Lions practice squad a year ago. The Bears were in the market for running backs. Jordan Howard was no longer part of the team's plans, and Pace was out to find his workhorse and maybe more. As the story goes, the Bears drafted David Montgomery in the 3rd round after trading up. Later on in the 2019 NFL Draft, Chicago selected Kerrith Whyte out of Florida Atlantic with a 7th rounder. Whyte didn't end up making the team permanently, but instead found himself on the Pittsburgh Steelers, appearing in 6 games total. As a rookie, he carried the ball 24 times for 122 yards and caught a pass for 9 yards. It wasn't much, but there were a handful of plays where it looked as though the Bears gave up on Whyte far too early. After all, back in college, Whyte was electric. He was part of a dynamic duo as Devin Singletary took the lead role while Whyte was the complement. He hardly has a lot of tread on his tires and offers a lot of quickness as a smaller guy similar to Cohen. Over his time at Florida Atlantic, Whyte averaged 6.2 yards per touch on offense. He also has experience handling kick returns, so maybe there's a shot he could help out on punt return as well. As a kick returner, he averaged 26.1 yards per tote. Now, Whyte is a member of the Lions practice squad. If they opt not to protect him before next week's game, the Bears could sign him immediately. In terms of size and skill set, Whyte may be the best fit to come back to Chicago and help replace Cohen.